real estate debate on the Property Show. Today the spotlight is on the mega city financial capital of India, Mumbai. Mumbai has expanded and grown to now become Mumbai metropolitan region, the largest metropolis in the country and the sixth largest in the world. Lots of dreams, lots of hopes for a great home in the city, but it's not that easy to own a home. We will bring you and put the spotlight on how can you make Mumbai more affordable. Has the buyer interest come back? Is there some amount of positive energy in Mumbai's real estate market post the budget? And of course, post the big announcements by the Reserve Bank of India on affordable housing. Let me welcome my panel today. With me, I have Boman R. Irani, CMD Rustomjee, and Vice President MCHI Credai. Welcome. Also Gaurav Gupta, Director Omkar Realtors and Developers, Mayur Shah, MD Marathon Realty Limited and VP MCHI Credai, and Gulam Zia, Executive Director Knight Frank India. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. I think we'll go to the larger questions of the budget and affordable housing, which everybody in Mumbai is hoping will yield to some right-priced homes. But first, I think for the buyers who've been waiting on the fence and have been looking at Mumbai's real estate market very closely, Boman, has the mood changed? The stock markets are roaring ahead. They say it's the Modi effect. Has the real estate market also got that excitement?
So there's a lot of enthusiasm, Manisha, that's come into the market as of right now. People are looking at what they call their home for the future. And as you just rightly described, Mumbai has grown into the MMR region, a very large area which is well connected by a good amount of infrastructure. We could always do with more, but good amount of infrastructure. So there's a lot of interest in these homes which are coming out. And after the budget, what has really worked out well is the added advantage coming to every home buyer in terms of his interest subvention or getting a tax break on that. So all these factors led together, I think the right homes in the right place at the right price will be something that the home seeker has been long seeking and he will find soon.
But have sales picked up, Gaurav? Because we did see a very, very dull 2013, and I think all developers came out and said that they hadn't seen probably worse times. Those times were perhaps more worse or than 2009. Do you think that some amount of excitement has come back amongst the buyers?
I think definitely, if you look at it as a trend, I wouldn't say, only the budget. If you go pre-budget 6 months as well, where the Modi effect or the euphoria had just started in the country.
So the Modi effect in real estate, Mumbai had started before Modi coming to power.
No, the Modi euphoria, when he was going to come into power, that had an impact on Bombay sales as well. So, since the past 6-7 months, we've seen quite a lot of sales, actually picking up. Post-budget, what has probably happened is there were a few fence-sitters, who were waiting whether to go this way, that way. I think we've seen those fence-sitters coming back once the budget has come around. But I think a bit of differentiation has taken place. Historically, if you look at the Bombay buyer, typically it was only based on location. I think probably what has changed is, with a lot of education coming in, with a lot of media getting involved is, today if you look at a buyer, he's become extremely smart. He not only looks at the location, he looks at the developer, the brand, the permissions, the contractor, what is the product, what is the price. So I think as long as you're able to offer him all these 6-7 different, you are able to tick all these boxes.
You're saying that the buyer
there is a buyer.
Okay,
there is a buyer.
The buyers say. So I'm looking at some data, Mayur, and Mumbai unsold stock rose 26% in the first quarter of this year, calendar year, compared to the last quarter. So 2014, though Gaurav is saying that things did look up, it's not showing in the data at all. Navi Mumbai unsold stock rose by 14.2%. Thane, where there's a huge supply, it rose by about 9%. And absorption in all these three markets fell. New launches fell. So the data at least was looking a little bit frightening for Mumbai's market. Now do you think the developers have that courage to come out and start aggressively launching products again without having to think of various innovative schemes to get sales to take off?
Yeah, Manisha, what we saw is that last year till December, market was really very, very slow, and I think most of this data is reflected out of that. And we saw from January onwards things moving a little bit slowly improving, and by April or so it has really picked up. And post the new government, where the stability is now assured, and everybody was expecting a very positive story on economic growth, employment generation and all those things. So those things have really excited. If you look at even inflation data coming down, so a lot of positive factors have gone
But
into
does the end buyer
thing.
really see an inflation data? You're saying the mood has overall
The mood
improved and yet
perception, because the
green
realist-
shoots were
Yeah.
seen in real estate even before the budget.
Yeah, real estate and housing is absolutely on perception. So people have to really look at it, that how is it going to happen? Whether am I buying at the right time or should I wait? And that's what we are seeing, is that people have now started coming out. And really, if you look at the visits, the inquiries and conversion at all our locations have grown by 15 to 20% in the
Ram,
last
I'm
quarter.
seeing a lot of change in perception here. I remember doing an MCHI discussion and debate last year, and there was a lot of negativity within the developer community. Buyers were not wanting to bite the bullet. Prices continue to go up in Mumbai. That's one thing which doesn't change. Prices don't come down. Sum up for us. I mean, obviously all of them are on one side. They can feel that excitement. Where do you think the challenges are for a buyer still when it comes to the MMR market?
Well, first of all, a very general view on sentiments that we're talking about, and it's, I won't deny that sentiments do drive the housing market. But when a stable government comes in, there was always expected to see a sudden upsurge in sales, etc. But the longevity of that upsurge is always a question. We have seen the similar thing happening when the UPA 2 came in with a better outlook than the UPA 1.
Right.
We did see something happening of similar nature even then. But the question is, how long will it sustain? Now, what we have seen recently about some right moves by the government in terms of a good budget, in terms of a few announcements related to real estate industry, about financings and so on and so forth. So these are a few positive things which will only add to that euphoria a bit more. So I would say that perhaps it will be longer lasting, the way things are going, and if we continue on the same track, if we continue to improve the overall sentiment, if we continue to give positive signals to industry, to buyers and so on, then it will be long lasting. If all these things are just the perception related thing, only sentiment related thing, then it will stop somewhere.
But that holds for the entire economy, doesn't it? I mean, if all these good promises don't translate into action, then you will have probably not an economic recovery, and those are days that we don't want to talk about or discuss at this moment. Okay, let me come to a couple of markets. So let's just focus first on Mumbai, then we go on to Navi Mumbai and Thane. So these are your three largest markets. In Mumbai, luxury. I guess everything's almost become luxury, isn't it? Because land prices itself, or land itself, is so scarce. Has there been a real orientation amongst the developers? Has there been a learning in the last 2 years on what you were doing right and what you haven't done right?
I think definitely there's been a big learning, and I think a part of the learning also relates to the changing environment in terms of regulations as well as the overall economic condition. So you talked about in Bombay. Historically, if you look at in Bombay, you always had a 2 BHK. We never had a 1 BHK, for instance. If you talk about the proper city limits, municipal limits of the city rather. You always had a 2 BHK also, which was typically in a size of 1400, 1350 square feet, I think with the change in regulations which is taking place and the new development control regulations coming into play, I think you'll see new products coming into the market.
Which is a 1 BHK?
You will see probably a 1 BHK coming up in the range of 700 odd square feet. You will see a 2 BHK in the range of 950 to 1000 square feet, 1100 square feet probably. Because I think everyone is realized.
Okay, so hold your thought. That's a very big trend, and I think media and many other people, even experts, Baman, that I speak to across the country, say houses in Mumbai are getting smaller and smaller. So the value that the buyer is getting is actually reducing.
Can I give you the reason why evolution in housing is continuously taking place? It's about what we use grows, it's about what we don't use reduces, right? You look at the average Mumbai individual, he spends more time out of his house than he does in his house, right?
Okay.
So when he comes home also, he wants to go into, let's say, squash court or his gym or his, swimming pool. He takes care of himself. He wants a few good food courts where he can take his entire family out. So he goes to the neighborhood mall, he goes to some nice eateries. He comes home Very rarely will you see a home which has a very large bedroom as such, because we use it more to just go
Efficiently.
efficiently. I would like to use that word in the future. The point is, so we've made the kitchen smaller. We've made the living rooms. We've eradicated balconies, because balconies are something that we are not really using at all.
Right.
So the good old days with the balconies, etc., are gone. So the home has evolved as a whole. It's not really become smaller or shrunk in size.
Would you agree with that? I mean, the design itself is becoming smarter and more efficient, or there is more to that story?
Well, that's obviously one side of it. And the other side is related to the input costs, which have also gone up. And the biggest input cost, if I can talk about, is the cost of land itself. So today, if your FSI costs are shooting up, if acquiring land in the city, getting permissions to develop, etc., are costing you so much more, and let's not even talk about cost of construction yet, because that's directly linked to the inflation and going up and up every year on year. So with all those things, then comes in the affordability of a buyer, and at least in Mumbai, the point that they talk about, or the word that they use, is ticket size. How much is it that a buyer can afford in terms of how many crores or how many lakhs that he can afford? So what you have to do is girak dekh ke puri banna. So you have to actually construct what a buyer would want to have, and that's exactly, I would say, you have to really work around what a buyer's requirements are, and I would fully agree with Vaman on that aspect.
All right. Okay. So let's assume that that's what the buyer can afford, and you have to create a product within that affordability limit. But land is again a curious thing. Talking about Mumbai, Mayusha, and you might want to add. So obviously there's enough research been done and said there's so much slum land to be freed up. There is land which can be redeveloped, and there are old buildings which can be redeveloped. Yet I do see, at least for listed companies where you know what their land banks are, there are times, some quarters, where you don't have any visibility of projects. It's a huge challenge, isn't it, for Mumbai developers?
Yeah, so within Mumbai, see, we are going through urban renewal. So the schemes keeps on changing. We have a slum scheme, we have 33-7, 33-9. Now there's a cluster development which is going to be announced. So all these schemes are evolving of urban renewal.
Too slow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite slow, and the process of getting the consents, getting approvals, going through environmental clearance, it's very, very tedious process, and that's the reason you have a very limited supply coming in. But in a long run, you will see a huge, in a 20-year, 10-year cycle, you will see a huge redevelopment or urban renewal happening within Mumbai. And for that, as a matter of fact, the only way is going upward.
Are you vertical? Yes, we will come to going vertical for Mumbai, but are you confident about that? Because I can see in Urban Decade there are McKinsey reports. There's just everybody who's talking about Mumbai becoming more and more of a slum, rather than so you do have glitzy. The quality of high rises is improving, but then the rest of the city is also decaying. Is the process too slow? Is it frustrating, Vaman?
Manisha, the key is God stopped making land, right? But by acts of government, you can continue to improve and increase the FSI available in a city. This done well, and we have had so many chances. We still have so many more. We had the entire, mill lands. We had your entire KC created. Now we've got the entire BPT lands available, so we can create world-class infrastructure which would allow a city to really develop. So everything that you talk about, high-rise, I mean, today go back to New York. New York is a lot more dense city than Mumbai is, but it functions a lot better because it's got 3 layers of transport available. It's got the entire city interconnected. It's got its zones marked out. It's got its open spaces. Even in the most dense areas, they've created all these old gardens that are still continue to exist. Under those gardens, they've kind of put in a lot of infrastructure. It just depends on how it's planned, right? You look at the old Ambassador, and I'll just give you an example out here. It used to be a big car, right? But it still didn't do half as much efficient as let's say, the Maruti that came after it. And the Maruti was 1/2 or 1/3 its size. The point is, how do you plan? How do you plan a city? How do you plan a building? How do you plan your life? Everything is about what's put in over there by virtue of being thoughtful.
Are you confident that Mumbai can reinvent itself?
I think Mumbai can far outstrip anything that we have ever imagined. You've got the most intelligent developers, not only local talent, but talent from around the world that is willing to come over here, not only take it up as a business, but more as a challenge for the gratification
so what's the bottleneck? Policy?
I would say mindset. I would say cost. I would say this entire fear that there'd be a lot of money being made. by a few people. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. When real estate policies come into play, like it or not, give them a 10 to 15 year cycle, you cannot change tracks midway, because a building which is built in concrete takes a lot of time for planning. With the human angle coming in, especially in redevelopment, that takes that much more time, that much more energy, that many more feelings to work on. You cannot change policy halfway through. It is a request and a begging almost to the policymakers that take as much time as you want to make the policy, but once the policy is made, just let it flow.
Just stick with it.
Just let it flow, because there is enough intelligence here in the development side, and I can speak for the MCHI CREDAI developers. You speak to us. We've got the entire world as our canvas. We've seen things around the world. I believe not one of us out here wants to create anything that is short of the best in the world,
Totally.
right? We want to be there. Each one of us has got our own individual brands. We are all the young generation that works more for the desire of creation than of course we're looking at business, but we're looking at the desire of creation, and we all want to live in the city. I want my kids to grow up out here. I want them to have the best life in the world.
I think having a personal stake means a lot, but going vertical is a big debate. That already you have urban infrastructure which is crumbling. If you increase the FAR, increase the density, it's not going to be good for the city. So how do you justify that? I'm glad to hear, but just your view on going vertical for Mumbai, is that the solution, Love? The biggest one, is that the low-hanging fruit? Just go ahead and do it, and then of course the rest of it will follow.
Unfortunately, at the moment there is no other alternative, because we're talking about creation of a new city altogether. Unfortunately, it's a brownfield situation. It's not a greenfield situation where you will start from scratch. So here, if you're talking about creating infrastructure, facilities and so on and so forth, and only after that would you start developing the city, well, I don't think you can do that. So if that not be the case, then what else? The only solution then is going vertical. But then how do you keep pace with the vertical requirement of the city is the biggest challenge that perhaps the policymakers are terrified of or fear of that, and hence not allowing the city to grow vertical, because they can't keep pace with the requirement of infrastructure to come alongside the development capability and potential of the developer fraternity.
All right, so it's always a chicken and an egg situation, isn't it, when it comes to any large city of India? But we're hoping that with that huge amount of money kept aside for urban renewal in the budget, 50,000 crore, it's gone up from 5,000 crore to 10x, that India cities will get the attention that they need. On the other side, affordable housing for Mumbaikars. McKinsey report says that a household which earns an income of 5 lakh rupees per annum, and that's not small by any means, cannot afford a house in the Mumbai region, or maybe just Mumbai. We'll ask the developers that when we come back. You're watching the Realty Debate on Mumbai Metropolitan Region. Stay with us. Welcome back to our Realty Debate on Mumbai Metropolitan Region, or MMR. We've already covered Mumbai per se, but then there is Navi Mumbai, there's Thane, and there's also the whole question of affordability. Can people get affordable homes in Mumbai, or do they actually have to move out to locations like Thane and Navi Mumbai to look at affordable homes? What is the solution? There are figures which vary, saying 90% of Mumbaikars cannot afford a home. Well, nobody really can count that number, but let me ask my panelists here on what the real situation is and how do you make all of MMR more affordable. Ghulam, let's start with you. Affordability has always been a big question. Developers have their own set of problems. They say land is expensive, cost of construction is going up, but there has to still be a way out. The current government has a dream of Pakka house for everybody. You can't leave out a region like MMR in that housing for all.
Well, first of all, very important to relate to some statistics, and that is that, the organized real estate sector that we talk about, where most of us are stakeholders, does not cater to more than 5% of the housing demand of the country. So about 95% of housing demand actually is beyond the organized development sector that we are talking about, which perhaps includes about 50% of below poverty line, where it is more of social housing and where you can't really transact or make a commercial deal to make a house. But still the remaining about 35 to 40% of the households are in that league of about 10 lakh to 20 lakh rupees kind of houses that are required there. And that is where the big question is, who would cater to that requirement, who would cater to that demand? And then without really getting into the definition of affordability, I have to talk about if my domestic servant, my domestic work, the driver or so on and so forth, can't find a house anywhere close by, and if they have to come from 80 kilometers or stay in slum, both the cases are equally dangerous, then how can I survive in the city? So what is lacking so far in the city is a balanced development where you would have taken care of requirement of housing for all, and that has actually got us into this entire mess of so much of slums and so on and so forth. So somewhere affordability has to be seen in the overall context, and housing has to be catered, has to be created for all sections of society. Unless we are doing that, affordability will only remain a debate on a discussion or definition of that.
Okay, so RBI has in fact changed affordability definition to suit now the Mumbai developers. Right. The biggest concern was that you have an affordable housing definition of houses up to 25 lakhs. At least that was the interest subvention scheme as outlined last budget. In the last budget, now that figure has gone up to 60 lakhs, right? That must come as a huge relief. Does this now segment excite you enough?
Definitely, I think that's a very big boost. I think 65 lakhs home, and I think 50 lakh is a loan amount, which is very much within the range of entire Thane to Dombivali, Kalyan, Vasai Virar. On this side, we have a Panvel, Navi Mumbai. So all these areas, you still definitely find one bedroom in the range of 25 to 30 lakhs, and two bedroom in starting from 40 to 60 lakhs. So there's a huge number of supply
So you're saying
available.
developers are already in that market?
Yes.
In MMR?
Very much.
Not in Mumbai, but in MMR? Maman, is that correct? And there's nothing exciting about it?
Can I bring to your attention one line that you said? You said that RBI has changed the definition of affordable housing to suit Mumbai developers. That is not true. What they have done is actually they've changed the definition of affordable housing to suit the buyer, because what really happens is the banks can now go out on a limb and actually, not have any kind of CRR restriction.
I concede to that point.
Thank you. Okay, coming back, Manisha, every developer has only one desire. He wants to create homes that will sell, and what will sell the fastest is the affordable segment. We all understand that. It's the bottom of the pyramid. All of us are engaged in doing some very large scale mass housing. You want to know what will help get homes cheaper to the people? I have a view. You reduce the taxation on these homes, for instance. You've got 11%, and Zia will say that 11% is your last mile taxes. When you look at stamp duty, registration, VAT, service tax, LBT and labor cess, it's 11%. Reduce that 11% to about 3%. You've already made your home about 8% cheaper.
Okay.
Allow permissions to come in faster. Once a permission, like I said, if you've given us a policy, 15 years, don't change it. If you've given us an approval, give us the freedom to go ahead and build as per approval, right? That will allow us to build faster, will allow us to take care of inflationary increases in the prices itself, and will allow the consumer to get his money, his home quicker, which will make his interest, which is due and payable, that much more palatable to him. The third thing, and here again, Ghulam, you should speak, is when you talk of land, every single time the government says real estate developers should bring down the prices. I want to ask the government why, when they were doing the mill land auctions, were the lands given to the highest bidder? Why weren't they given to the person who provided the highest low cost housing? In that area, build about 4,000 homes and you can build 10 lakh square feet. Why exactly when the MMR the MMRDA decides to auction plots in BKC, do they give it to the person with the highest bidder? Give it to the person who will create, let's say, infrastructure in that area for the entire area to use. We can all get innovative. It's all about planning. It's all about how you put thought into something, and we have all got to come together. And I have this one more plea with every authority. It is that ask the man on the ground. He understands his subject the best. Check with him what his issues are. If my objective is to provide housing for the masses in this city, for instance, when we had the 80IB coming into, for real estate homes under 1,000 square feet in Mumbai, every developer worth his salt did it.
It really did.
Every developer worth his salt did it. The point I'm trying to make is incentivize people. I incentivize my people to go out and, build faster. I incentivize my people to go out and, improve quality. I incentivize my people to go out and, be better for customer relationships. I want the same coming from the authorities.
So what's happened in the budget this time is not good enough as an incentive?
Excellent.
You've got FDI now.
It is fabulous. I mean, look at every aspect of this is the first time I believe that the central government has listened to CREDAI, that has, brought in the suggestions from there. Everything that we've been asking for the last 5 or 7 years has started being heeded to. I should say congratulations to the, Maharashtra government also. They've just kind of taken away the burden of going for an NA approval, which was extremely cumbersome for the city of Mumbai and the,
There's
wherever.
excitement at the state level too, and housing.
I
is a
am
state
telling you,
subject.
something as little as an SCLR, which is that road which opened from Santa Cruz to, Chembur,
Right.
has changed everybody's feelings for both those areas, right?
Yeah.
Little things will also make a big difference, but little things continuously. It's like the rains. Give it continuously, let it be in the catchment areas, we'll all be, be able to perform a lot better.
All right, Mayusha, your thoughts on affordable housing in Mumbai. Of course, Vaman has outlined several of those things which can be done. But what more can you do? I mean, there are multiple agencies involved in trying to provide that affordable house in Mumbai, MMR as a whole. Do you think that this is a job best left to the developers, or do you think you do need a public-private participation model to really suffice the need for affordable homes?
So, Manisha, there are two segments here where the private developers cannot really afford to give an LIG.
Which is the 20 lakh below homes. Those are very difficult to provide.
Let's say 180 or of smaller flats which can be lesser than 15 lakhs within Mumbai. Now there we can really look at a public-private model where the government has a land or incentive FSI. We have already given such schemes to, as an MCHF we have given schemes where certain portion will be built within a private land, will be handed over to MADA, and MADA can auction it at a very, very reasonable price.
Affordable housing for the entire housing sector in the country. I mean, if you bring down the transaction
No,
cost.
give it for the affordable housing only.
Only for affordable
Give it for the
Single
affordable
window
housing.
clearance, start with affordable
The
housing
reason
and
I'm
then
saying
go on.
give it to one type of development is because you'll enthuse people to kind of go in over there. We will kind of work 24/7 to be able to provide housing for what the authorities of the government will feel and do for the people will be that they'll change their lifestyle. I have one small point out here. I'm absolutely against this idea of 180 square feet apartment. Everybody deserves a 361 square feet carpet to live a proper life. Why would you first cram him into 180 where he starts, taking out his ledge and, like we have like little rats, we keep going out and building more and more, building on the outside. This is bad development. You first decide it's 360 square feet. You decide you want to give it. There will be umpteen number of ways to give it. There are ways to kind of subvent the financial cost for it. There are ways to bring down the taxation on these homes. There are ways to improve the FSI incentive for developers who actually do it. So if you have strong governance in place and you give these 3 or 4 guidelines, I'm sure there'll be a few rotten apples in our entire thing, and they will kind of try to extract a little more and make something on the side. How does it matter? You go ahead and penalize them, go ahead and incentivize those who are doing a great job. You will have a lot more on your ability to perform and deliver, and the city will stand to gain that much more. And the common man, who I believe is your strongest future customer, will stand to benefit, and all of us will continue to grow.
Ghulam, the track record of Mumbai amongst all other key cities of India has probably been the worst when it comes to large-scale infrastructure projects, especially connectivity and transport projects.
Well, I won't differ with you. However, I am a born optimist. I have seen things changing and pretty fast. I recall the Bandra Worli ceiling. I used to play around in those Bandra fields when they first acquired my playground to construct something called as Bandra Worli ceiling.
Okay.
It took about 20 years for me to see that or to drive on that. But at the same time, even if it is delayed by a year or two, the Mumbai Metro is actually done in 4 or 5 years. And then going forward, the completely virgin eastern corridor that we are today talking about was something which we are not even aware where they were constructing. So I'm saying we have evolved. We are doing things faster. Well, it has to be, perhaps we have to upgrade our speed or do it much faster or do it more planned. Like for example, if I saw Delhi of what it was 5 years back and what it is today, it's a sea change. Perhaps Bombay also requires one event which could change the whole thing, perhaps some
For us,
floating
Metro
event or
changed
something
it.
like that.
I think let's accept it for Delhi, Metro changed a lot of everything. And then the rest of it was much smaller. There were flyovers and bridges, but then the Metro was the key thing. So what do you think? I mean, which are the 2 or 3 big urban infrastructure, especially the connectivity projects, which you think will probably be the same game changer for Mumbai?
I'll again give you a perspective. Why do you want everybody to come to Mumbai, as you call Mumbai, every single day? Why can't you, look at Nariman Point. It's moved to BKC in a
It
way,
has.
right? BKC has moved to Malad in a way. We've moved to Navi Mumbai in a way. We can move to Thane. We can create. I mean, basically, life has got to be created around where it is possible. So there's a certain load you want the city to take, and then you want to spread it out. You want people to go out there and live out there, work out there, study out there, entertain themselves out there. You can create the city in multiple ways, right? You can decide to go out into 3 trajectories, like he said, create one Uran-Sivri sea link, and you will have as much land available on the other side to create another Mumbai. There are other thoughts that can be done. You can create land by doing what Singapore does. You can create land by doing what Dubai does. So they bring in the sea into the city. At the same point of time, they go out into the sea and they reclaim land.
Right.
The point is, how do you want to really do it if master planners who've done this for other cities around the world, and we should respect thoughtfulness. We should allow people to come around with examples. Put up a huge challenge worldwide, and you will have 100 different architects coming across and giving you 1,000 different ideas. This is how Hong Kong, for instance.
But do we have time now to do all of that and lose time?
We have
or just,
all
just
the time in the world. We
get
have all the
going?
time.
Just get going.
Two projects which are going to really make a lot of difference. One is that multimodal corridor. Multimodal corridor which has been designed and almost feasibility study done. This is Virar to Alibag.
Right.
So that's a huge build, a new total growth center, and residential, commercial, industrial, everything can be developed on that. Another very big infrastructure project which is already planned and going through certain approvals is a coastal road,
Right.
which is from city to Warsaw.
So there is urban infrastructure which everybody talks about is lacking in Mumbai, but hopes are not lost. There are certain plans, and if just a couple of them do get implemented, it could change the landscape of Mumbai just the way the metro has for Delhi or NCR. We'll be back and we will get all our panelists' opinion on what are some of the hotspots of MMR's real estate, because I'm sure at the end of the show that's what you want to hear about, isn't it? MMR or Mumbai Metropolitan Region, curious market, even when you have supply going down or if you have demand going down, prices are very sticky, they don't go down much. But for the last 2 years or so, they haven't also been running away. Investors have had a more muted sort of a return. There are new growth opportunities, new micro markets which are developing. Let's just find out from our panelists today, what are some of those high or exciting growth corridors of MMR. Let me start with you, Gulam. What do you think? I mean, developers will have their favorite regions depending on where their projects are, so I'm going to ask you first.
Well, my bet would be on regions where you will have good upside coming on the back of infrastructure.
Which are those? Just names, because
So,
that's what the viewer wants to hear.
For me, there are these 2 corridors which are at least looking better than the rest. First is the New Mumbai side, all the way to Panvel and beyond. On the other side, we have the western suburbs, the extended western suburbs, which is Vasai Virar and beyond. These corridors are shaping up well, and the multimodal transport connectivity that we're talking about, which will connect Virar to Alibag and all that, will also add value to these areas and so on. So there are, what I'm talking about are places where I would have value addition happening. Like, for example, I obviously can't expect an NCPA to grow from 100,000 rupees a square foot to 200.
Right.
I obviously have to look at places where stabilization has not crept in yet, and where the life has to grow. And then those are the areas where I would pick up, as I said, a couple of those locations in Turbe and all that entire area, Ulve and all that huge belt, the New Bombay belt, where there is huge development potential and growth is happening. By the way, the Mumbai-Pune expressway has been brought into the city, and traveling from Nariman Point to Navi Mumbai is pretty easy today. So there are many of these initiatives which are already showing on the ground. On the other side, there are opportunities where I would always call the armpit of Mumbai. These are places where the development hasn't really happened and have been lagging behind because they are neglected. So if I can pick one such example, I would talk about the entire Chembur and Deonar belt, where there's a huge amount of land available, and just because it was actually back of beyond, people not actually looking at it, it was very low end or other such issues related to it, today is all of a sudden looking very, very lucrative. So where the prices were, some 10,000, 12,000 rupees, say a couple of years back, all of a sudden are doubling up. And I'm
Okay.
sure there's a lot of potential there also due to its proximity to BKC.
BKC,
And the
right.
new connectivity which will connect BKC to this area will actually give a new lease of life to the whole of Chembur and that locality. For that matter, anywhere where there is a new infrastructure project coming
That's
up.
what I'm saying. Follow infrastructure, Baman. Is that the way to look at Mumbai's real estate
For a
market?
developer, obviously, it's to follow
Yeah.
the
And
infrastructure.
for a buyer as well.
For a
How
buyer,
do you catch an early opportunity?
as an investor buyer or as a
an
buyer who's
investor
looking
buyer.
at a home?
Everybody in India who buys a home is an investor because
Okay,
they
so-
want that asset to appreciate
okay, so-
and beat the stock market.
We are very community driven, right? We all want to live amongst our own people. And I think, like Ghulam mentioned, the Vasai Virar belt is great. The Navi Mumbai opportunity all the way up to Panvel is great because of the infrastructure coming up in both these places. But I'd say go wherever it is that you see the smaller things also developing. Where is education moving to? Where is manufacturing moving to? Where are the service industries moving to? What kind of entertainment developments are taking place? If a buyer had to just observe these little things, because for him, following the large sea-link that is going to come up and then going out and picking up a land in, let's say, Ulve might not really be the great idea.
And also those areas run away. I mean, there's an announcement of a project and you have land prices appreciating.
Well,
all of
that and then,
going up.
I would say that you should then back it up with going to a good developer, someone who's got a, sound background, because you don't want to just go with the lure of saying I want to double or triple or, 4 times put up my money. You also want to say my money should be safe, right? So you want to go where the good developers are also going. So for the end user, I would say the biggest thing that he should watch or she should watch is go where the good gentry of development or developers are going. Go where the brands are moving to, because these brands, no matter what will happen,
They will re-rate the market.
Well, yeah, that's
They will re-rate the market. Gaurav, your thoughts?
I think, just picking up from where he said, the infrastructure is the key, for a, so the
But
airport.
what's the sweet spot? I mean, if do you think that the market between that 75 lakhs to 2 crores is going to be the sweet spot in MMR as well?
I think it's going to be. I think that's what the, more towards, if you talk about Bombay as a city, I think that'll be the upper range of, 125 to 2 crores. If you talk about MMR as a region, probably 75 to 140, 150 would be the sweet spot ideally going.
All right.
So I think, like you mentioned, the airport project, hopefully the land acquisition this is almost completed. I think,
I would
once.
really like to see it.
So, a big part of the city can actually move there, if that project, which is what they say, if it gets commissioned in the next 5 to 7 years, I think you can always have, you can almost have a big part of the city moving there then.
Mayusha, final words on
I'll
Mumbai's
go by
real
the
estate market?
budget.
Where's the excitement?
A budget of a buyer. So if it is at 20 lakhs, it will be Badlapur Ambernath. If it is 20 to 40 lakhs, Dombivli, Shilfata is a very big development happening. Beyond 40 to 60, Navi Mumbai Panvel, excellent. Sion Panvel Expressway, 90% complete. Sion to Panvel, you will reach in 25 minutes. So the distances will be very, very closer, time wise. It may be 25 kilometers, but you can cut in 25
You
minutes.
believe that the MMR, I mean, some pockets at least, or I would not like to paint it with the same brush, but there was a time when investment in MMR's real estate beat anything else in the country. Do you think about 18 to 20% sort of returns over a long-term period, Baman, are possible?
Manish, again, I should say, other than just connectivity, that's why I say a developer should watch the stocks he's investing in. If it is a stock market, just because, software was growing, you wouldn't go and put into every company, you put in a TCS or a Infosys, etc. Likewise, go where the developers are going, because it's not only the connectivity, it's the water out there, it's the education out there, is there, social life in that
Social
area.
infrastructure.
All of that is very, very important, right? Will a 18 to 20% return be possible? Absolutely, it is possible. For the wise investor, obviously he has a nose for areas to go for and the right kind of developer to go for, also the right kind of product to go for. Having said that, I would say that one should not really only go for that incremental in terms of how fast the appreciation takes place. It's a long-term value proposition. When you buy a home, it could be anywhere between 5 and 50 years that you could have that asset for yourself, and you could make it a very sweet asset by just choosing the right location and the right developer and the right kind of product that you're really looking at.
All right, let's conclude on that note, and we do hope that everybody watching the show at least has picked up some interesting points in looking at investments in real estate of Mumbai region, challenges and the dream of being able to provide a house for everybody. Ghulam Zia, Mayur Shah, Gaurav Gupta and Vaman Irani. Thank you gentlemen for joining me. Thanks very much to all of you for joining me, and of course next week we are back to another big city. We will go down to Bangalore real estate market, which has been setting benchmarks across the country. Hope you can join me for that show. Goodbye and thank you so much.